might have just watched the preview of the playoffs last night with Greer versus Greenville. And we back. Welcome back to the second season of the Get Boys podcast, powered by Hardway Basketball. I'm your host, Musa Moretti. Let's talk Greer versus Greenville. Obviously, like you know, this game played out yesterday. Greer did come out with the 2-point victory after a game winner from Isaiah Henry, but nonetheless, this game was intense throughout the entire game. From the atmosphere, the energy, everything just screamed playoffs. Like these guys were competing as if they were playing for their lives, man. And I love to see it. You know, all these guys obviously kind of know each other, you know, through AAU or just growing up together. It was the battle of the G's, man. So great game, great atmosphere. But I just want to first talk about how this game really just screamed entertainment. Every time Greer made a play or something on Greer's end happened, Greenville was right back to defend their house, you know, go back, make the exact same play, or, you know, let's say Lights takes a charge. Rondo's right back on the defensive end, taking a charge for Greenville. And it was just excellent to see. This game was personal, like I said, you know, last year Greer lost in the playoffs. I believe it was the second round. They lost to Greenville in the playoffs. And, you know, they felt like they had that chip on their shoulder to get them back, but they had to earn it. Another thing I wanted to mention before I really get into the real descriptives, Braden Dura, who plays for Greer, was out, I believe, with a back injury he had acquired the night before against Wade Hampton. So they weren't able to have their main big man that they usually have. But Ramani Bruin from Greenville didn't play for Greenville. I still think he's dealing with a lingering knee issue. And, you know, although this is bad for both teams, I believe it kind of evened out the playing field since one player was out for each team. One main player was out for each team. But nonetheless, you know, Greer want to talk about some players in particular. Obviously, their leading guy, Amari Anderson, played like the man really early in the game. Kind of cooled off later on, fourth quarter. Wouldn't really say he was the guy that like sealed the deal for Greer, but you know, really came to play. Second quarter, I heard he had 12 points, so had his foot on the gas at one point, and even third quarter played pretty solid. Obviously, integral role of their team. Isaiah Henry obviously made the game winner. You know how you know that play, and you know played solid all around. Made some big time shots throughout, and you know just played his role. I believe he comes off the bench for Greer, so he actually had to start in this game, and I mean he took off right where he should have started for Greer and played a solid game overall. Braden Lights, you know, I don't see him too much as a scorer for this Greer team this year, but he was being aggressive on both sides. He did end up fouling out, so maybe the aggression, you know, ended up backfiring on him. But nonetheless, man, this dude's aggression on defense was impeccable, from taking charges and really just hounding the ball. But he was also aggressive on offense, you know. I know he doesn't always look for his shot, but he was getting those offensive boards and made a big layup near the end of a quarter to give them, I believe, like the 2-point lead or so, and just showed a lot of effort throughout the entire game. Zane Valentine, defensive dog, he made a few very big plays down the stretch with, I believe, one steal coming near half court on Bryson Drummond. That's what he does. This is one of his games where he didn't really score a lot, but he brought his presence on the defensive end, and they had to keep him in the game. Mikey Williams from Greer, another guy that can really go. I feel like he was a little bit off from normally. You know, he was missing the spin move floaters that he usually makes, but he did make the big three near the end of the game. He did make the clutch free throw to tie up the game late. So, you know, hats off to him for staying composed, even when, you know, things might have been a little annoying or frustrating personally for him. But speaking of free throws, you know, Greer they probably missed at least 5 to 6 free throws in this game. I mean, I believe Lights might have missed 2 back to back at some point. Mikey missed 2 at one point. You know, it was just a few missed free throws that could have maybe not sealed the deal, but you know, maybe just put the pressure on Greenville a little bit more. The role guys did solid. Aaron Sims made an and one early in the game and came out and played his role. I believe Mylan Hames was a little bit more off than he usually is. You know, he had some good looks, just wasn't really able to hit him as much in the game last night. But nonetheless, he still played with energy and, you know, didn't give up easy buckets to Greenville. So he played his role. But moving on to Greenville, as you know, it was a 2-point victory for Greer. So this goes unsaid that Greenville played well. I mean, they competed. The first guy I want to talk about is Roman. Played a really solid first half. I even had posted him and Amari because the way they were going back and forth, it was great to see. Roman was hitting on all cylinders, getting to the basket at will, getting offensive rebounds. And even with that, he still had 13 points, 10 rebounds. So a nice little double-double. But late in the game, I feel like he was just kind of I mean, they had him on the bench, which I feel he was on the bench a little too long. I thought he might have been in foul trouble, but, I don't think he was. So they did sub him in late in the fourth, but just a little confused why they didn't play him a little bit more late in the game. Obviously, in my head, I think he's one of the better players for Greenville, and the way he was playing in the first half showed that he was one of the best players on the court. So he really didn't get going too much in the second half, but that's something he can we can build off of, and he can build off of, and bounce back next game. And nonetheless, moving on, Bryson Drummond, I thought he had a very complete game overall. The only problem I would say is late in the game, I think his teammates started deferring to him a little bit too much. I know he had it going, he was getting to the line at will almost, but no, I think there were other guys that they can score. They just didn't have maybe that self-confidence to score at specific times, especially very late in the game when they were kind of holding the ball. Felt like they were really trying to get it to Bryson, and I think that's what Greer realized because they were really trying to hound Bryson late in the game. But nonetheless, had a really solid game. I believe he had 25 points. That there was one play in particular. I'm not sure if he got pushed. He might have got pushed, but he falls on the top of the 3-point line, and then Mikey hits the wing three. I'm not sure if that was his man, but maybe something like that could have been prevented if he didn't fall. But nonetheless, very solid game for Bryson this game, and I think we can see some more of this. Nehemiah Tompkins came off the bench for Greenville, thought he brought a very nice spark, hit a corner three at one point, got a very crucial block on Mikey when he tried to attack the lane, and I thought he played solid. I believe he played his role very well, and he did get taken out late in the game, but played well in the minutes that he was given. Moving on to Cam Smith, aka Rondo, played with a lot of energy, like I said, took charges, made the defensive plays that he always makes. Couldn't really get anything going too much on offense, but I feel like that's an area in his game he's still kind of getting together, working on, as you know, but still obviously a hound on a dog on the defensive end. And I think his energy really changed the game and put the game in Greenville's hands at particular points in the game. Raymond, the center for Greenville, played probably the second most or the most for Greenville. Made open layups, got rebounds. His role isn't really too much on the offensive end, but defending the paint, and I thought he did a good job at doing that. I want to mention Tucker, wasn't able to get up many shots this game, but he did play a lot. And I almost felt like it was kind of, I don't know if it exactly helped Greenville in any way because, Tucker, he can really shoot that ball, but if he's getting guarded well, he's not going to really put it on the ground and create his own shot. So there were just certain points where I felt like he was more of a decoy on the court and really just someone that to make the Greer team worry about rather than really causing havoc for Greer and just adding to the offensive presence of Greenville. But nonetheless, I mean, he's played solid this season. And, I think he has some more games to come where he goes crazy from behind that 3-point line. Lastly, Nuke, don't want to beat up on him too much. He had a solid game being that backup point guard that he is. I feel like this guy right here, I think he played with a little bit of hesitancy at times. I've seen this man play. When he plays with confidence, he's one of the best guards on the court at any given point. I know he's only a sophomore, but this dude can really hoop. And there were some plays where I felt like he might have been a little hesitant. Obviously, he was the one that turned it over near the end when Isaiah got the steal, but that doesn't go to show his impact on Greenville's team. He is the backup PG for, I believe, Cam, and he can really hoop. I was a little off this game, but I think he'll bounce back, and I want to see him play with some confidence because when he does, he's a problem. But overall, this game is one that'll be remembered, man. I mean, it was a Greenville classic, and it was great to see that atmosphere. And I hope these teams can see each other in the playoffs and in the playoffs, that would be huge. And I know the 4A right now, 4A is stacked. I mean, Ridgeview, Lancaster, Westwood. This 4A is stacked. So there might be a chance they could see each other. But with all that being said, great game to watch, very entertaining. And until next time, peace.